Hello, everyone. This is your host, Dr. Mitchell from the Mental Health and Wellness Show. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing John Tarnoff. He is an executive and career transition coach, speaker, and author who helps mid-career professionals land better jobs and build more meaningful and sustainable careers. Fired 39% during his 35 years as a film producer, studio executive, and tech entrepreneur. He learned how to turn setbacks into successes in a volatile business. He reinvented his career at 50, earning a master's degree in counseling psychology to share his career lessons with others going through similar challenges. Since leaving entertainment in 2010, John has built a global career coaching practices serving both individuals one-on-one and groups. He has also led career workshops for MBA alumni in career transition, including UCLA's Anderson's School of Management and Cornell's SC Johnson School of Business. Corporate coaching clients have included Bank of America, Bridgewater Associates, Levi Strauss, SoftBank, TD Ameritrade, Eastman, and Thrive Global. His proprietary three elements career builder framework empowers clients to define their niche value, build a referral community, and use thought leadership to enhance their professional brand and attract the right career opportunities. Learning this framework empowers clients to never have to search for a job again. John is also a TEDx speaker and the author of the best-selling Boomer Reinvention: How to Create Your Dream Career Over 50. His four LinkedIn learning courses have reached over 200,000 learners and has been translated into 9 languages. With no further ado, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. After that introduction, we can go home.
Well, yeah, it's a lot. It made me smile, especially when you say boomers, because you talk about millennial boomers and generation stuff. But anyway,
I know.
this
I
this
know.
is a hot topic. I really like it. Like, we live in a world where this thing called ageism, where people think after a certain age they are not maybe as valued, perhaps, or have.
Well, some people think that,
Well, yeah, some people. I don't think
and
so.
that's the problem, right?
I don't think so. Me, I'm going strong till I die, basically at 100,
Right.
right? But you're right. Some people do think that very limited mindset, but I think age is like fine wines. I'm not a big drinker, but I'm just saying it typically gets better as it ages.
Right.
There's something that's powerful with the experience learned, the resiliency. Now, again, this is people who've actually gone through life and embraced a growth mindset, not those who are fixed, but the
Yep.
resiliency, the experience, priceless, right? The work ethic, priceless,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
So, anyway, before we get further on this conversation, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know about you? I know your bio was very extensive. You've definitely done a lot, but is there anything unique about you or what really pushed you to do what you want to do, what you do right now? Sure.
Yeah. I think what's what I've always just kind of been curious about uh, are questions regarding what makes people tick. And I think for a long time, I used to think that what drew me into working in the entertainment business was just kind of I love movies and TV and just thought, wow, how does that work? And how did these projects get made? But what I realized coming through all of that was that what really sustained me was learning about how people work and how people create and what is that urge within people, that vision that people have to create and to tell stories and to create their own stories. So that really became the operating drive behind my pivot into career coaching because this interest in people just kind of took over and replaced my interest in content.
That's impressive. You mentioned what makes people tick, like their why. Tell me
Mhm.
about that and why it's so important for us to
Right,
connect with that, especially during
right.
these transitions.
Yes, absolutely. I think that really goes to the heart of it. So thank you for asking that question because one of the things that I think we are not well trained on in the career world
Mhm.
is how to talk about ourselves and how to really communicate our value.
Mm,
We think that our value is wrapped up in our skills and in our credentials and in the titles that we've had and the name brand value of the companies that we've worked for. But really, it comes down to who we are and why we do what we do. And look, in my executive career, I hired a lot of people and I was in a lot of those decisions. And very often, what would happen was we'd have a number of candidates that made it to the final round, and we didn't always pick the candidate who had the perfect fit for that job description
Yes.
because there was something kind of empty about that person. They were all about the surface, but they
Hmm.
really weren't about the depth, and they really
Yes.
didn't communicate the depth of who they were. And
Yes.
we were all kind of looking at each other and basically going, so
Mm-hmm.
do we really want to go to work with this person every day? And there was a real shrugging of the shoulders and a questioning about, well, I don't know. I mean, but we all love that person, right? That other person. And that person might not have been quite as perfectly suited to the job description, but you know what they didn't have, they could learn. And
Yes.
because maybe they had more of a growth mindset, maybe they were more engaging, maybe we felt like, oh, this is a person who's going to really contribute to the virtues of the team. That's the decision we made. So we talk about this, about perfect fit and, what's the right fit and kind of the cultural fit and all that stuff. But I don't think that at the end of the day, people make decisions based on that. They're too afraid that if they make decisions based on something that's intuitive or kind of feeling based, that
Yes.
if it goes wrong, they're going to get blamed. So they need to have some kind of objective metric
Yes.
on which to make their hiring decision. And then if it goes wrong, which it may very well go wrong, they can go say, "Hey, they checked all the boxes, and I just did what I was supposed to do." Right. So
Exactly.
that's the unfortunate situation that we're in.
Yeah, you made some really good points. And one is that just because somebody looks great on paper doesn't make them a great fit, right? There's substance to who they are that things that you can't quantify necessarily put on a degree or piece of paper. It's the persona, it's that energy that they bring to the table and the willingness to learn. I can't stress, and I know you can't stress enough the importance of having this growth mindset. So many people have a fixed mindset where it's like, oh, the expression, you can't teach an old dog to do trick. I think that's absolute garbage. You can teach an old dog new tricks. My first dog was an old dog and I taught her good tricks. So, but we're
I
not
love
dogs
it.
as humans, but you
Right.
get my point, right? You can
So
learn.
that's a great point. You can teach an old dog new tricks if that old dog is curious,
Yeah,
right? Has an expansive mindset. You
yes.
can't teach a young dog new tricks if that young dog is so confined to their static mindset. It doesn't really matter if you're old or you're young.
Exactly. Right? All mindset. So that's a great point. Like we have young people who are fixed, want to learn only this way, and then we have older people that are that way. But it's best to just be open and receptive and reinvent yourself. Like, look at you. You started off in the movie film industry, and now you're coaching leading executives and just completely different. But guess what? Those
Absolutely.
skills, I'm sure the setbacks, the disappointments, the layoffs, that sets you up for who you are today, right?
Really.
You
Yeah,
roll with the
absolutely. I think
punches, right?
we all grow through
Yeah.
our challenges.
Yeah.
We don't grow through everything being hunky dory and steady
Preach.
state,
Yes. Say, let's listen again for the listeners. Everyone, listen.
right?
We need to grow through our challenges.
Yes.
Embrace uncertainty.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
there's something that I talk about in my book and I talk about with my clients. There are two overarching principles, I think, to career reinvention, career transition. I think it's true at any age, but particularly for people who have lived a little bit. And the first one is that the career you want is already inside you,
Yes, I like that.
right? We all think, oh, the career's out there. If I could just get this
Mm,
job with this company, or I need to get to this salary, or whatever it is that you're thinking about. Or there are these jobs. I hope I can get my resume to tailor my resume so that it fits the job requirements, and I hope they like me, and I hope that they see that I can do the job. Forget about it, right?
Mm,
You're never going, you're playing catch up, right?
yes.
Why play catch up? If you take a little bit of time and effort to look inside yourself and to really reflect on, your point before, what you do, who are you, where do you want to go, what are your values, what
Mm,
really floats your boat, what,
yes.
this ikigai exercise, which I use in my practice with my clients, these 4 questions: what do you love to do, what do you do well, what does your world need, what can you get paid for? Right? You got to
Yeah.
think about those questions, right? At the intersection of those 4 questions is the beginning of your inner knowing
Yes.
about what you are best suited to do. So that's number one. The career you want is already inside you.
Yes.
But the corollary to that, particularly for people who have been working for a while, is that in order to create the future,
Mhm.
you have to reconcile the past, right?
Yes.
We all have baggage, right? The
Yes.
longer you're at the game,
Mhm.
you're going to accumulate the baggage. And this is
Yes.
back to this idea of learning and experience and
Yes.
learning from your lessons. We are very bad as a culture at owning up to our challenges, to our failures, right?
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm-hmm.
the times where we fell down, where we made a bad decision, where we got into an embarrassing
Mm-hmm.
situation, made a bad decision, wrong, made a bad mistake.
Yeah.
So if we don't accept our past, if we don't reconcile our past, if we don't basically love ourselves, forgive the people who did us wrong,
Mm.
clear the decks, get
Yes.
back to square one,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to take all of that baggage into
Mm-hmm.
every single meeting, every single interaction, every new job that we do. And it's going to be this weight that we're dragging around. And we're going to be wondering at any given time, oh, I hope they don't ask me that question. I
Yeah.
hope I don't want to talk about this, whatever that might be. Or you get into a situation where you're being asked to do something. Maybe it's to take a risk, you know, go
Yes.
after a new client,
Mm.
take on this project,
Yeah.
whatever that might be. And you think, oh, wow, the last time that happened, I really screwed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I haven't done anything like that in 10 years. I'm not about to kind of risk that again now.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at you like, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So that's a really important factor that I think we have to take into account.
Yeah, I really like that. It brought to mind this analogy of people often throw things under the rug, right? I say like you can only throw so many things under the rug before you eventually trip on it, right?
Hey, really,
Like,
I love that. That's great.
right, there's only so much you can just put there. You're gonna trip and you'll fall flat on your face. So deal
And
with
people are
it.
going to see it. They're going to see it. They're saying, what's
Oh,
in that rug? Right? What is
exactly.
that?
What is that?
Right? And then
Exactly.
you kind of go, oh, what are you talking about? You kind of move in front of the rug. Oh, there's nothing there. It's like they see
Ex-
it.
Exactly. Right. So that's how I see it. And we must embrace the past. Doesn't mean we get stuck in the past, like you said, but we have to accept or realize that those experiences, some of those
Yeah,
experiences have created the person we are today, but we have a
yes,
choice. If we
that's right.
don't like who it has created or what it's created, we can make changes and look forward to the future.
Yeah.
Right?
We
Like
are not the person today that we were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
exactly. And that should be our evolution, our growth as humans. We need to go with the punches. Don't be so miserable if something quote unquote bad happens, because if you didn't have that bad experience, you probably wouldn't be where you are today. Even my life. If I didn't go through multiple bad experiences, I wouldn't be the person talking to you or being doing what I do.
Yeah,
Right? And I've learned to
absolutely.
embrace it. And you mentioned forgiveness. Doesn't mean
Yes.
you forget about it, but
Right.
it means that you just don't carry it. You park it in the
Right.
luggage and put it in a corner. You
Yeah.
just don't carry it.
Yeah. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you all of a sudden the
Oh
person or
no.
become their best
Mm-mm.
friend.
No, you don't
You're
have to touch
just,
them.
what you're doing is you're saying, for whatever reason,
Hmm.
this situation happened.
Yes.
And I'm just not going to continue to beat myself up through the judgments that I'm holding. Because at the end of the day, that person has moved on,
Exactly.
right? That person doesn't really care about you and your judgments and the way you feel about them or the way you feel
Hmm.
about yourself. All of your relationships at the end of the day are inside you,
Yes.
right? So do a little house cleaning, right?
Exactly.
and resolve those past wrongs and decisions and embarrassments and whatever it is that's holding you back, and go, I did the best I could at the time,
Hmm.
and decide what those lessons are. What did you learn from that experience, right?
Exactly.
And take that as a plus, as a plus, something to kind of check off in the plus column in your life. It's a
Mm,
lesson that you learned. You're not going to do that again.
mm.
And by really accepting it, you're damn sure not going to do it again, because you're not repressing it, right? You're not avoiding it. And if you're trying
Yeah,
to avoid it, you're probably going to do it again.
exactly. You have to learn from those things, right? Like,
That's right.
think about, like, dissect the situation. Don't just go surface level. Go peel like the onions,
Mhm.
go layer after layer, get to the root of the issue, the heart of the issue,
Right.
and
Right.
then move forward.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I like to approach life and even medicine. Get to the root issue. Don't just put a band-aid on it. Not going to help
Exactly.
long
Well,
term.
well said.
Yeah. So, okay. So, if there was one or mindset shift you would like, let's say 50 and above, people who are transitioning in their career to really embrace, what would it be?
Right. Well, particularly in the job search situation,
Hmm.
the number one thing, which I think is really important for people to get their heads around, is this idea that your resume is not going to get you a job. Maybe it's right.
Yeah.
In the old days, it was a much different world. And, if you lost your job, you could kind of patch up your resume and put your most recent job at the top and craft a little cover letter and send it out. And you'd send
Hmm.
5 or 10 resumes out and you'd get a few interviews and you'd probably get a job.
Yep.
And there you go. You're off to the races. Not
Not
anymore,
anymore.
right?
No.
Your resume is going to go into an applicant tracking system. Depending on which stats you read, you are one in 250 people who is applying to that job, or one in 500 people. But the bottom line is to say is you have a better chance of getting into Harvard than you do of getting the job that you're applying for, right? Because the numbers are against you. So
100.
instead of relying on applying to job applications, you want to be building relationships. Your network is
Is
what's going to get you your job. And
yeah,
if you are in a job and
yeah,
you are ignoring your network, then you better get busy, because you're going to need it one day. And when you need it is not the time to be building it,
yes,
because that becomes really desperate, really annoying for the
yes,
people that you're trying to talk to. So that would be the number one mindset shift, which everyone has to start focusing on today.
yes. 100%. I like that because a lot of people use LinkedIn. I do. I live off LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
And when
Absolutely.
if you ever look for jobs that, which I have in the past, it'll show you how many people have applied to that job. Sometimes
It's
it's
crazy.
thousands,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not many, especially if it's a very niche position, but still, the competition is stiff,
Yeah.
right? And one has to continue. Another thing that I think people need to learn is to learn. Don't just think, oh, I took a certificate in Microsoft in 1985. I'm good. I'm sorry, sweetheart. You're not good. There's a
That's
lot
right.
more to learn. So your learning should be lifelong and you
Yeah.
shouldn't require a job to pay you to learn. You should learn for learning's sake because guess what? That knowledge is yours, whether you're fired or whatever. It is yours.
That's right. And it also reflects a learning mindset.
Yes.
And put yourself in the position of the hiring manager.
Hmm.
And what do they want? What would you want if you were if you were hiring you, right? What would you
Yeah.
want you to be, right? How would you want to stand out and excel? And any opportunity that you can take to improve your candidacy and improve your skill set and your expertise, not in a random way where you say,
Yeah.
well, I got these 5 certifications. I'm licensed this and a licensed that, and it's all over the map. No, it's got to reflect the theme of where you're going. It's back to your why, right? It all has to be part of a portfolio that makes sense, right? But you want to engage proactively with those career opportunities so that people don't feel like, oh my God, here's someone I've got to tell them what to do. How long have they
Hmm.
been in business? They've been in business for 20 years and they're acting like a entry level person.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like a puppy dog waiting to
Hmm.
be told what to do. I
Yeah.
want someone who's a solution provider who can
Exactly.
hit the ground running. I don't have to check up on them. I
Mm,
can really trust and rely on them to perform and to understand what we want and to go do it. That's
exactly.
what you've got to be when you walk in that door.
Definitely. And I've been in a position where I've had to hire people, and unfortunately, I've also had to fire because of that same reason, right? Do you have that hustle, that drive to learn, and not just saying it in an interview, actually demonstrate it in real life? That is priceless. Again, that growth mindset, the desire to learn. And again, you mentioned another important part, which is almost like branding yourself. We are a brand. People don't realize that you are your own brand. Don't be so caught up that you work for Microsoft or Adobe or whatever, because that could go in like 2 seconds. A company could disappear. I'm not saying they're going to, but then who are you? You need to know what you stand for, what people know you for, not just what you think you are. What do they think of you? And
Yeah.
like,
That brings up another tip. Don't use your job title as your LinkedIn headline,
hmm,
right?
yes,
Because that job could go away. And
hmm,
then what are you, right? So you want
exactly.
to really use that headline as an opportunity to define the 3, 4, 5 roles that you perform and that you are great at.
Exactly. You're branding you, right? Have your mission and vision statement for you. How do you want to serve? How do you want to show up? Yeah, that's a very good point because I think after when COVID happened, a lot of people lost their jobs and they're like, holy crap,
Right,
what do we do now?
right,
Those of those who've been like, networking and maintaining relationships and building were able to be called XYZ because they say your net work is your net worth. You know what I mean? The people that you
absolutely.
know and who know you, not just you knowing them, they need to know you. They need to be like, John's calling. Oh yeah, John. Okay. Not like, huh? Who's that? What are you talking about? They need to
Right.
know you, which is communication. So you're not cold calling people, ideally.
Right. Or if you're cold calling people, you have a very well laid out profile that's
Yes.
very easy to understand, that
Mm-hmm.
defines very specifically the value that you offer and deliver so
Mm-hmm.
that they can, at a glance, understand why you're calling them, why you are relevant and interesting to
Yes.
whatever it is that they're doing. And they are intrigued by what you present and are interested in following up and having a conversation with you to learn more.
That's very true. There is a way to do cold calls, and I've been a person who has actually purchased services through cold calling that put down serious money and be like, yes, I get you. I want it. But you're right. There's a way to do it. And having the profile that reflects the right thing is very helpful, right? So yes, good point. There is room for cold calling, even though sometimes it's done a lot of people
Well,
are ick.
it's hard to do.
Yeah.
I grant you that, and but I will say that the clearer you are
Yeah.
about your value proposition, and the more practice that you get in talking about it and pitching it,
Yes.
the easier it gets.
Um,
Right. So I'll tell you a story. I tell a lot about my days as a producer in Hollywood, and I remember running into I was not working for a company or a studio at that time. I was on my own, freelance as a producer. I was working with writers and directors trying to find ideas for projects, and you pitch them. Basically, you go
yes.
around and you here's the story, and are you interested? And maybe they say yes, maybe they say no. So I run into this guy at a screening or a party or whatever, and he says, "Hey, how you been? I haven't seen you in a while." He said, "Hey, whatever happened to that story that you pitched me a few months ago with that writer?" And I said, "Oh, well, we just set that up at this other studio." And he goes, "Oh, congratulations." He says, "I thought that had some possibilities. Tell me that story again." So I gave him the little pitch, and his eyes go wide. He says, "That's not the story you pitched me. That's so much better." And I said, "Well, we kind of pitched you early in the process and it
Yeah.
maybe was not as fully formed as it became, but every time we pitched it after that, it got better because we got the feedback and we kind of got a rhythm going about the pitch. And by the time we pitched it to this other studio, it was in this shape." And he said to me, "Well, if you had pitched it like that to me back originally, I would have bought it."
Yeah, that's a really good point. Practice those elevator pitches, right? Be
Exactly.
very clear,
So,
succinct.
so yeah. So
Yeah,
have your elevator pitch and
yeah,
practice it. You can practice it with friends,
yes.
right? You can do there are all sorts of ways you can practice your pitch and do mock interviews,
Yes.
right? Do mock interviews on Zoom, prepare for the online interview, prepare for the AI bot interview,
Yes.
because that's happening, right? It's terrible. It's dehumanizing. I hate it, but it's happening. So you got to be ready for it.
Yeah, and you have to embrace technology, right? This is not going to, AI is not going anywhere.
Not going. It's not
Right.
going away.
Just like those self-checkers, people are like, oh my goodness, self-checkers is the end of the world. Oh, it's still there,
Get on
though. Some
board.
people are pushing away, but it's still
You
there. It's not going to go away. It's there.
right. Use it to your advantage. Figure
Exactly.
out how to use it
Mhm.
to your advantage.
Leverage those things, leverage
There you go.
communication, leverage automation,
Right.
leverage so you can
Yeah.
get more done in less
Hey,
time.
I'll tell you, if this old dog can get into AI and new technology and stay abreast, anybody can do it.
I agree. Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. And I feel the same way. If I can learn how to post things on YouTube and do this and set up chat boxes and play
Absolutely.
around with it, why
Yeah.
not?
It's just another tool.
Just another tool. Exactly. Just like the cell phone, remember? Again, I remember my parents had their first phone, the Nokia. That thing was huge. That thing
Right.
battery lasted 30 minutes, and they were
Right.
one of the first people to get it.
Right.
But look at
Right.
us now. Our phone is like
I remember back, I mean, this is, I should never kind of,
date
kind of quote
yourself,
my
but
age,
okay.
but people used to say, oh, I mean, really, what do you need a cell phone for? So it's like, just wait a half hour, you'll be at your office, you can make the call, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there was that rejection of the technology at that time. People thought it
Oh,
was just ridiculous. It was too much. And
100%. And then I also
right,
remember of a decade or two later, the smartphone. Back then,
right,
I was one of those early adopters. I think I had a Samsung
yeah,
Trio or something. I couldn't
right,
get into BlackBerry. I was a Samsung girl. But people were
yeah,
like, why is it that? Because I can answer emails while I'm waiting in line in my favorite clothing store.
exactly,
I'm applying for
exactly,
programs. I need to know time is money and time management is money well
yeah,
spent. That's what I say, right? So embrace it. And now you just, people are like, how do you type so quickly? How do you get that stuff done so quickly? Well, because I started when I was 6 and I didn't look back. You
right.
know, it's just embrace. I haven't figured out code. That's something that's, I don't know, but a lot of
Well,
other,
you're going to get, Chat GPT will write all the code you need.
well, exactly. So I'm like,
Yeah, so
phew,
you kind
I
of got
dodged
in
that
under the
bullet.
wire, right? Good.
I hated computer science in school. I was one degree I wanted to complete, but I was like, oh, I need computer science. I can't do that. But yeah, no, yes. It's again, it's mindset. The person
It
words
is. Yeah.
before, the person pitching before is a completely different person. Well, same person, but different approach who's like getting eyeballs, getting attention. Again, practice, 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 feedback. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We need it. Very good. So where do you see yourself? I know I don't know, I'm not going to ask how young you are, but like, where do you see yourself? Because a lot of people, they have this magic line where they fall off a cliff. They're like, oh,
Mhm.
at 65, I'm going to retire and just go sit on a beach. I don't have that mentality, but I'm curious. Where do you
Yeah.
see this going?
So first of all, I'm happy to tell you my age. I'm 72 years old.
You look
Uh,
really good. You look very
well,
good.
thank you. And I work at it. I try to stay fit and healthy, and I'm very proactive about living because
Yeah.
I believe in it and I want to live a healthy, carefree, functional, high momentum life. And I intend to do this all the way up to the end. I've got some good role models in my family of people who lived all the way to the end and
Nice.
died well. So yeah, I feel like every day is a new opportunity. I feel like um, I just learn more and feel more ambitious in a way and more focused every day. And I don't know where it's going to take me, but I really try to set clear intentions every day for how I want the day to go.
Yes.
And I have I mean we're now recording in January 2025. I'm just about finished with my yearly plan to really set some clear goals and milestones ahead for me this year of stuff that I want to do in my personal life, in my business, with the family, social, et cetera. So I think it's important to do some planning and to really have a system to monitor and measure the growth that you are programming for yourself and experiencing. And yeah, things are going to be the way they're going to be. But if you don't know where you're going, as the saying goes, any road will take you there. So you don't want to be on that
Exactly.
random path, right?
100%. I like that how you're working on your goal. That The thought of one book I read, listened to actually, I didn't actually read it. I listened on Audible like 10 times, The 12-Week Year. And it
Hmm.
talks about annualized thinking versus getting more stuff done in 12 weeks. And it was like,
Right.
I'm not saying you have to do that every 12 weeks because it can be exhausting, but that principle of writing things down, setting clear goals, having a system like Atomic Habits comes to mind.
Right.
We fall by the level of our systems on our
Oh,
goals.
yes,
Right?
systems. Yes, I love
Yeah,
that
so
expression. Right.
systems is critical. Having those goals that we refine and review, because very few people actually set goals, but even smaller review them, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to be ahead of the pack, like miles ahead, these things we're telling, teaching, reminding you, like, do them. You will not regret it. And I love how you mentioned your health, like you're taking care of yourself, and it shows. Like, honestly, you don't look 70 nothing. I was like, maybe you hit 60, I wasn't sure, but you look really good and you have vibrancy. So believe in this myth that when you're after a certain decade, you should be like, "Hi, my name is John. How are you?" And push
I
your
just saw
walker.
I just saw a video on YouTube that someone sent me. A guy who is 89 years old,
Hmm.
lives in Bolinas, California.
Mm,
He is built his own house. He skateboards every day. He talks and walks and acts like some guy. I don't know. I mean, he's gray and he's
hmm,
lined, but he's walking around. He's skateboarding. He's very vital. He's 89 years old. He has no intention of slowing down. He's got this routine. He has this kind of natural farm
mm,
that he grows all his own vegetables and does all his own repairs. And he's a writer and a book publisher and I mean, just an amazing guy, but
hmm,
sharp as a tack, 89 years old. I'm thinking, whoa, I
hmm.
want to be that guy.
Oh yeah, I want to be that. I want to hit past 100, like with my wits and be able to take care of myself,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And that's going to be possible.
Oh,
I mean,
100%. I have
yeah.
longevity in my family and I have a strong will. It's not just
Yes.
the genes, it's the will. And
The
you can have
will
poor
is a
genes
lot.
and have
Yeah.
that will.
Yeah. You're right.
Right? Choices we make, like natural foods, like this guy, he's not eating a bunch of crap, I'm sure. He's making most of good choices. Now, I
He's
do
growing
say,
his own food, right?
right, he's
Yeah.
growing it. That's adventurous, right? Most people struggle to even water their cactus plant. So, yay for him, right? But I always say, 90% of the time, be a good boy and girl with a halo around your head. But that 10% is called life. So you enjoy it. So yes, grow your
Yes.
own food, but make time for fun. Despite,
Yes.
right? That's
Absolutely.
so important. Yeah, reinvent yourself. Don't put yourself in a box like retirement age nonsense or whatever. If you're continuously learning, you're not going to want to stop. You'll just do something else. That hobby, that thing, that side gig became a full-time gig. Learn a new language, keep the brain sharp. Just use it. The brain is like a muscle. Don't like use it. Like
I agree.
read,
I think
think
the one of
critically.
the gifts of getting older and learning more about life is that you both want to live life your way and you also develop the resources and the wisdom and the knowledge to be able to live your life your way. All you have to do is make the decision to do it and not be hemmed in or intimidated by the messages out there that are saying, oh, you can't, or you have to do it this way, or you're wrong or whatever that might be. You define your reality about how you want to live your life, set those intentions, build those network relationships with people who are doing it, and they'll
Yes,
help you up the ladder to realize your dream.
100%. Build those networks, those relationships, continuously learn those skills, practice your elevator pitch, surround yourself with people of excellence. Like, don't listen to these limiting
That's right.
beliefs because people that are making these limiting beliefs want you under their thumb. Like they want you
That's
to be a
exactly
train.
right.
Okay, let's be real.
The
Okay,
control game.
it's
Yeah,
the control. It's all about control. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's the truth, right? So stop sipping the Kool-Aid. Okay, take a moment. Be like, no, you don't have to.
that's
No,
right.
right? Embrace life. My dad's over 70 now. He's still a surgeon. He operates and he's
All
strong.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And he says he can do things in his sleep, like not like he does, but I mean, like they're so programmed, like he doesn't have to think. It's just like there
Yes.
because your hands move
Yes.
and you
He's
get it
just
done.
done it so much, right?
Exactly, that
Yeah.
muscle memory, right? So, Practice it. Whatever your craft is, whether it's singing, writing, dancing, a little bit of everything, flamenco, I don't care. Just practice, live life to the full. And this world will be so much more joyous. There'll be less miserable people. There'll be less like a lot of things. It'll be better, right? And
Absolutely.
right, and have that financial stability even after quote unquote retirement age, or maybe your job kicks you out because you're a certain age. But guess what? We're living longer as human beings, right?
Yep.
And whatever pension or whatever you think you had may not last, especially with everything that's going on in the world. So
Yeah.
redefine yourself.
Yeah.
Have more than
Keep
one.
working.
Keep working.
Keep working, keep earning, do it your way. You know, you may not need everything or the same amount of money in the future that you do today, but you need to keep topping it up. You still, and you
Mm.
feel good. It feels good to earn money.
It feels so good that you're not just like, oh, I only have about 10 years of living expenses and I might live 20.
Right. Yeah. Fixed income, not a great mindset to be in, not a
No,
great box to put yourself into.
no. And before you even get to that point, I think maybe I would love to hear from you and your perspective and experience. If you were, well, you're talking to some younger people in the audience, let's say
Yes.
a 35-year-old, what would
Hmm.
you tell them? Like, what would you tell them so that when they're your age and beyond, they're in as good, if not better position? Do you want to,
Right.
right? What would you tell them?
Well, I would say invest across the board. Invest financially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the person who's an expert in that, but invest financially. Start a smart program. There's so many resources out there to give you expertise and to help you make smart decisions across all of these areas.
Mm-hmm.
So invest there, but also invest in your health.
Yes.
Start now.
Yes.
Invest in your relationships.
Yes.
Invest in your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Carve time out of your day, whatever it is that you do, however hard you're working, figure out how to create some levels of efficiency in your work so that you're not spinning your wheels, you're not falling victim to distractions, and invest in your future, which
Yeah.
is going to hinge on your growth mindset, your relationships, the quality of those relationships, the ideas that come out of that, engage with people, travel the world, carve out time to embrace this life that you've been given, which is special and unique, but it's up to you to maximize it. So don't
100%.
wait until, some future time. Doesn't mean you're going to just say, I'm taking the rest of the year off. I'm quitting my job. No, it's not about that. It's about finding the time to do it all, right?
Yes.
Keep on your path. Make sure that the work that you're doing is leading somewhere. It's not just a clock punching activity. If
Mm-hmm.
it is a clock punching activity, then do some research, have some conversations, search inside, figure out what it is that really inspires you, that really, gives you a sense of meaning and purpose and can give you a salary as well,
Mm-hmm.
and start to gravitate towards doing that. It may be scary. It may be a transition. You may have to give some things up,
Yes.
but if not now, when?
Exactly, exactly. Embrace the uncertainty and be curious, right? Like have that desire to learn, just like a child is curious to learn and ask questions and, push and get up and fall. Be like, have that spirit. Like, don't lose
Yep.
it. Don't, just
Yep.
don't. And you like,
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, right? You may have heard this acronym that fear it stands for false expectations appearing real.
exactly. I've heard of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So whenever you hear yourself say, "Oh, I'm afraid of I couldn't do this," or any of these limiting beliefs that come up, listen to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to what you're putting out there. Listen to the programming that you're doing
Mm-hmm.
against yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and reframe some of these ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Shift paradigms, work on programming, all great stuff. I'm sure you read a lot of books because a lot of different things come to mind. And you're also an author. Maybe quickly just share the listeners about your book.
So the book is, I mean, basically what I've talked about today in terms of career reinvention is what's in the book. There are also 7 really inspiring stories of people who reinvented their lives in mid-career and really against great odds through periods of real hardship and came out on the other side with new careers, new lives, renewed sense of purpose. And it was a real pleasure and an honor to talk to these people and to put their stories into the book. So the book has the seeds of this framework, which I talk about for career reinvention, gives you some exercises to do to really get the ball in motion, some of that self-reflective work that I talked about before, as well as these inspiring stories.
Awesome. Can you mention the title of the book again?
Sure, it's called Boomer Reinvention: How to Create Your Dream Career Over 50. And now that means that it's not just boomers, it's Gen X and it's coming up on millennials. It's really for any generation who is in mid-career to figure out their next act.
Yeah, I know. Mid-career, it's like I'm a millennial, an old fart millennial, but barely. It's like, yes, I feel excited. Get
Right.
into the
All
mindset,
right.
it's like, oh
Yeah,
goodness, a new
that's
decade.
right.
Wow, but there's so much. The world is so expansive. There's so many opportunities for growth because we have so many challenges in our world that need courageous people to work on, right?
Right.
So
That's right.
just
So
do it.
be one of those courageous people,
Yeah,
right?
be a change maker, man. Be in the right side of history. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed this conversation, John. I love the energy. I hope to inspire people because, I don't know, for you, a few years ago during that thing called a pandemic, a lot of things, the world shut down. I don't know about you, but that was actually the period of the most growth for me. I'm not talking about finances. I'm talking more about like learning and
Yeah.
pushing myself and I always say in 2020, I found my perfect vision. Now I wear glasses or contacts. I do not have perfect vision. But what I mean, I had more clarity of who I am and what I'm going to stand up for,
Yes.
right?
Well, it's a perfect example of how adversity and challenge is the source of our growth.
100%. Like that, I matured real quick. I had to fall down, but I matured when I got up or tried
Yeah.
to, yeah, I'm here. So yeah, no, I love it. So, and
Bravo.
how can our listeners reach out to you if they want to hear more, get your career advice, be coached by you, or have you as a speaker at an event?
Absolutely. So I am, I believe, the only John Tarnoff on LinkedIn. So I'm very easy to reach on LinkedIn. And you just search for me there and your profile will come up. I'm very accessible there. You can also check out my website for more information about my career coaching services and my methodology at johntarnoff.com. And let's start there.
Awesome. We'll have that information in the show notes. And again, our listeners, thank you so much for sharing your most precious resource, which is your time. Because I sure don't take it lightly, because we don't know how much time we have in this wonderful place called Earth. So thank you. If this message resonated with you, feel free to share with your friends and family. Or maybe you're in a position of mentorship and you know somebody who's kind of feeling kind of like left out and not knowing what to do the next step. Have them listen to this podcast, have them reach out to John or other amazing people who may be able to help them. And let's just make this world a better place. Again, John, thank you for being on the show today. And to our listeners, again, thank you. So until next time, this is your host, Dr. Mitchell from the Mental Health and Wellness Show.